Welcome to Journey On. It's another special edition, a three-person event where we have Fargo Dan. Welcome, Dan.
Welcome.
Yeah, and Pastor Karl, how are things? Your wife is back. Are you eating again?
Well, I was eating the whole time. It was just peanut butter toast and breakfast cereal. But now,
Okay.
yeah, what do we have? We had, oh my gosh, we had something really good last night. Oh, hamburgers, grilled hamburgers.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So,
And in all reality, we always joke about that, but I can testify, along with my friend Kelly from Bismarck, and a couple folks from out in Fargo too, that we had a fantastic meal. You did a great job at the grocery store. You showed us how
oh,
you know how to shop. You showed
I
us you
do.
know how to cook. So we were absolutely confident, and you survived just fine. So
I did. I made it.
we're
Whew.
we're all happy. And the fit for the show this evening, you've got the
Yellow
yellow
jacket.
jacket. Yes,
Yep.
they have a new product. I
Yes.
understand that people that like that kind of thing like that specific thing.
Are we talking about the hot coffee?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And kind of exciting. And I just talked with Matt, the owner
Mhm.
of Yellow Jacket on Sunday, and he's doing a bean order, so he's having some
Oh,
specifically roasted for Journey Fellowship, both Bismarck and Fargo.
ooh,
So we'll have
lovely.
Yellow Jacket available, well, sooner than later. He didn't give me a time frame, but sooner than later, we'll say.
Nice. Well, so Sunday is what I'm hearing.
That's what I'm hoping. Yeah,
We'll find out. But
yeah,
always good news, and we've got a lot of stuff we want to talk about. We're getting toward the end now of the screw tape letters. One of
yeah,
the things that I wanted to share with you guys, and we could talk a little bit about, I get so much joy out of talking with uh, well, obviously people in our family about this
mhm,
series, but other friends and other people that are on that prayer list that we talk about from time to time about,
yep,
they would like to come to church. I need to pray on it, and it will
yeah,
happen. But this series is so unique, and there's been so many. I've had so many. I hate to use the word revelations because it seems so monumental, but just new ideas and looking at things
yeah.
in a different way that I've been able to talk to so many people about. That I really like that this unique series has given me some unique opportunities to talk about our church and what we're learning and what we're talking about together throughout the community. And maybe others are experiencing that too.
Yeah, I agree. And have you found, maybe you guys have, when you're describing to somebody, sometimes even within the family of the
Hmm.
church, when you're describing what screw tape is, who he is, and the screw tape letters and what it is, and do you see some eyebrows go up until you know
Yeah,
it's
you're doing
you know
what now? Yeah.
it's demons, and we're talking, demons, and yeah, it really is kind of a very interesting invitation, at least a conversation, if not
Mhm.
attending a service sometimes. So yeah, we'll continue, to do things. And it's not that we're trying to be cutting edge.
Right, right.
It's not that we're trying to, shake things up and, anything like that, really. It's just, and it's not that we couldn't continually just preach out of the Bible. We absolutely can. We could always do that. But like you say, I mean, these are, it's just a great way of opening
Hmm.
doors, hearing things differently, then starting to see things differently. And I think God can reveal, as we challenge ourselves, and he does. He takes the opportunity to then
Hmm.
reveal. I heard actually Mere Christianity. I'm going back and rereading that because I'm just enjoying the C.S. Lewis screw tape. Well, he wrote a book series called Mere Christianity, and he talks about God revealing himself and why sometimes he reveals so much to one person and not nearly as much to another. And C.S. Lewis uses it as light reflecting in a mirror. If it's a clean mirror,
Oh,
light reflects. If it's a dirty mirror, it's hard for that light to receive and reflect. And so, take that for what it's worth. People that are really, Jesus says, when you seek me with all your heart, you will find me. And I think a lot of times the seeking isn't as heartfelt as maybe it should be, but
yeah.
God will always reveal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's scary to
absolutely.
seek sometimes,
Mhm.
so I get that.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
exactly.
so a question on that, do you, and it's fine if you don't, but do you know which it was Screw Tape Letters first or was Mere Christianity first? Do you know
Oh,
where it fell?
let's see now.
I
So
would,
Screw Tape
yeah,
Letters was 1943, I think,
okay.
and Mere Christianity, the book comes from radio interviews that were done in the 40s, 42, 43,
Ooh,
right in around there, but
okay.
became a book, I believe, and someone can fact check me on this,
Sure.
but I believe he
Put you on the
compiled it
spot. Yeah.
into a book, yeah, 1950s, so
Okay.
sometime
All
in the
right.
50s.
And it's one
But
of the things that I found interesting in the book itself and learning about C.S. Lewis. This was within a decade and a half of him essentially coming back to Christianity.
yeah,
Because it was, yeah, it was in the early 30s that he had his, his welcome home, and
mhm,
then so for this to be in 1943, it was that was eye-opening for me. So
yeah,
yeah. Anyway, so let's talk about what we talked about. Let's get into
let's
this
do it.
last week. First and
Yeah.
most importantly, the question on everybody's mind is: did you, number one, finish weed whacking, and number two, repair the plumbing?
Number one, I did finish weed whacking, and I even used, I think I talked a little bit about my edger attachment. I did do
Oh,
that. So the
nice.
yard is whacked and
Okay.
edged.
Whacked and edged.
Yep, and I have the plumbing parts. I just
Okay.
have to modify them because they don't sell what I think they should, so I have to make one. So yes to one
Ooh, yep.
and not quite to two.
All right.
So
All right.
yeah.
Sounds like you need a 3D printer, it to
Oh, that is
make your own
exactly what
parts.
I need. Oh
Yes.
my gosh, that's exactly what I need. Yeah.
Right.
Well, I
Well,
have a
we've
Dremel, so I can make my part.
we've done the old-fashioned 3D printing. That's the opposite. That's 3D removing,
Yeah,
not
exactly.
3D printing. So
Unprinting,
yeah,
I
yeah,
suppose. Yeah.
de-printing. So
Deep printing.
we covered letters 24 through 27.
Correct.
A few things came out of it. The idea of spiritual pride,
Hmm.
and I think in terms a lot of in defining something, I think of what is the opposite of that. And that works really well with the screw tape letters, right?
Right.
So, spiritual pride, the opposite for me is humility. And I think in terms of acts of service, if I'm feeling judgmental toward or prideful over someone, if I do acts of service towards that person, or
That's
group
excellent.
or individual, it helps bring my human brain back down a few notches because I
Yeah.
can't help when I feel that.
Yeah.
I can get better and I can recognize it quicker and quicker, which is a goal for me every day. But there are some times that those thoughts and sometimes even actions come out.
Yeah, that's excellent. And I think another, and you're probably saying this, I'm just going to say it a different way.
Hmm.
When you do, when we start to feel something towards somebody of a negative vibe,
Hmm.
when you pray, when you sincerely pray for somebody, it is very difficult to house bitterness for any length of
Mm.
time when you put them on your prayer card and then start serving them seriously charitable serving, not the unselfishness that we're talking about this weekend,
Right.
but charitable serving, saying I want to lift you up, I want to think of you, and it's really hard to hold somebody in a bitter light or have a bitter attitude towards them when you're honestly serving and praying for them.
And that's
Yeah.
it's another subtle wedge that
Mhm.
the demons in this case can put in there. The very fine line between um, genuinely serving and martyrdom almost, where
Yeah, sure. Yep.
I'm doing this for you, therefore I am still better, even though this is a godly
Exactly.
better. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah. I'm still looking down my nose at you because I'm so much better. Yeah.
right. Because I
Yeah.
did this thing for you. So, and man, it's tough to be human. Wow, why?
Ain't easy.
Yeah.
I know, right?
Someday it'll all make sense. Until then, let's just keep getting together once a week or twice a week. How about that?
Deal.
Same old thing syndrome.
Same old thing syndrome.
SOTS, the same old thing syndrome, getting into a routine. Um, let's talk more about that. And I saw the note, what are we obsessing about?
Yeah.
How are those two connected? So the same old thing and what are we obsessing about? Is that idolatry? Is that the core of that, or am I
Sure.
missing the
Yeah.
mark there a little
Sure.
bit?
Anything, honestly, I think a blanket statement with probably a few potential holes would be anything that takes your focus off Jesus has the potential of being a lowercase g God or an idol.
Hmm. Hmm.
And when you start obsessing, and what's nice about same old thing syndrome, and to even ask the question, what are you obsessing about? I I would answer that differently as a 10-year-old, a
Mm,
15, 20, 25, 30. I would answer that differently. I think, and I think most people would. Our obsessions and passions change throughout our life,
yeah.
and anything that we're obsessing, right, or
Hmm.
chasing, or striving. That's a great word, striving for. I mean that means there's effort put forth, premeditated.
Hmm.
You know, working my schedule so I can whatever this thing is. What are those things? And blanket statement, factual blanket statement. If it's not Jesus, it has the potential, and especially if you're obsessing, to be a lowercase g god or an idol, and it becomes sinful.
Yeah. Wow.
Sinful. Yeah.
Well, that's that. Okay, that's the same old thing syndrome. I'll
Yeah.
accept that.
Yeah.
And then just the last note that I had down, and Dan, if you've got some thoughts or anything else, Carl, you've got. But the last one I had is the idea of heads I win and tails you lose,
As I
and
went
it
to,
was a cool analogy for it, and it really is something that I think we can do to ourselves too, as a way of excusing sin.
sure.
If and that idea that right, I can pray for it and either I get it, and of course I get it because it was just bound to happen, or I don't get it, and then I can blame God.
Yeah.
And if we play that out, play that tape out till the end, a lot of times we can put our mind in some bad places and do that same thing too. So, um,
Absolutely.
yeah. So whether it's praying or sinning or any place in between, we can heads I win and tails you lose ourselves as well.
Yeah. How many times do we see ourselves as kind of, well, maybe we don't see ourselves, but feel this entitlement.
Mm,
So we pray for, right, and don't
yeah.
get something we feel we're entitled to, something we deserve or desire. And God, because again, all seeing, all knowing, all powerful, says, Jim, that wouldn't be good for you. I'm not going to
Hmm.
give you that desire. Well, I'll just get it myself then.
Right.
If God doesn't A, care enough, or B, doesn't care about me enough,
Yeah, God
then
doesn't
I'll just go,
understand.
or he doesn't understand. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
God, if you were in my shoes, I
Yeah.
mean, so we go get it ourselves.
Yeah.
And then we look back however many days or months or years later, and we go, oh,
Mhm.
gotcha. Yeah.
Who was it? Garth Brooks, Unanswered Prayers.
Hmm.
That song always gets to me.
Never
Was
heard it.
things like that?
It's a country song,
Okay,
Carl.
yeah, you got
Oh,
me for a
okay.
sec. Yeah, yeah,
What is
country.
country you speak of?
I forget that you're a metalhead. Is that what they call it? Right?
I mean,
You
yeah, rock
you
guy.
kids with your rock and roll music and your baggy
You're right,
pants.
right. Tight pants, long hair.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, no, now it's baggy pants, but yeah,
Baggy pants and
the
short hair
old
now.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So yeah, anything else, Dan or Carl? Anything else from the last four letters that you guys wanted to touch on?
Dan, I'll let you go first if you want.
I don't really have any final thoughts other than there's a lot of that repeated in the next three letters that we're going to look at. And then the final one kind of is a little bit different. So
Yeah,
there's
Okay.
a teaser on that. And
yeah.
you talk about the things in our lives that become an idol and can become sin even though we're not aware of it. One of the things that in letter 28 he's talking about, spiritual perseverance is one of the hardest things for humans to do because as your life progresses, and kind of like you were talking, Carl, every decade this answer is going to be just a little different. You have youthful hopes and dreams, and eventually those kind of fade away and they change as you grow older. Those of us that have gone through numerous decades can kind of relate to that a little more. But there gets to be a kind of a quiet despair of overcoming chronic temptations or
Mm,
even
Hmm.
just the drabness of our life, the constant repetition of our daily things that we have to deal with. And it turns from just an uneasiness and a despair over that, it turns into a resentment in response to that. And then people tend to get angry at God. It's like, all my life I wanted to be this, and now I'm only this.
Mm.
And we tend to kind of give up some of our spiritual growth, and literally our faith starts to erode if we don't get what we want. And it's difficult to maintain that mental attitude of, I am exactly where God needs me to be. And you were talking a little bit about sin and the way that takes place. Well, one of the big tools that Satan uses is hatred. And Jim, you had used the halt synonym. When we're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, that's when Satan works the hardest.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that I noticed in letter 29 was, as he's talking, we know that it's a sin to hate, and we're supposed to love our enemies, but we can look at someone else's enemies and I can hate them on their behalf. So that fulfills well, I love my enemies, but I can hate these enemies because they're not mine. They're my wife's enemy, or my child's enemy, and we can justify it that way. Mm-hmm. And literally have that sin of, they're not worthy of forgiveness, forgetting that I myself am also not worthy of the forgiveness that I have. Yeah. So it's real easy to fall into, this whole study is just a lesson in how everything gets turned around, how we get deceived and so easily.
You're exactly right. And one of the words, when I think of these letters cumulatively, is, well, I guess it can't be one word because it's a sentence. Satan is so subtle. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's just an aggressive attack, and it's just like, you're being attacked. You mentioned that in a couple of weeks ago. You said sometimes it feels like there's more than one demon assigned to it. Mm-hmm. According to the book, we each have our own devil. Right. And I think the subtlety is almost, agree or disagree, I think sometimes it's worse because you feel like you're moving down the right path, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, blindsided, you're like, oh my gosh, how did I not see that? Mm-hmm. And that's Satan, marketing genius, really good at what he does. God is better, but that's awesome, Dan. Thank you.
Well, that great transition, talking about the last 4 letters now coming up this week, the letters 28 through 31. Mm-hmm. And we talked a bit before we started recording. You said you've got a title for the last 4 message that you've got coming up.
Well, I call it Feelings or Faith, Faith.
Feelings or faith. So that's a question. Mm-hmm. All right. So how does that umbrella over those letters?
Well, if you look at all of Wormwood's attempts to bring his patient, or we can talk about ourselves, as he's dealing with us, what he tries to get us to do is feel a certain way, so that by feeling we can discount the reality of what we know to be true. Because as we become Christians, we understand certain things. If you get into the Word, you begin to learn who God is and how he operates, what he expects of us. And the biggest thing that he expects of us literally is to believe in his son, Jesus, that Jesus did everything that can possibly be done to secure our salvation, because we can't do it. Mm-hmm. Jesus paid a debt he didn't owe because we owed a debt we couldn't pay. It literally comes down to that. And if he can distract us, if he can deceive us to the point where we don't feel saved, or we don't feel close to God, or we don't feel spiritual, then we play right into his hands. Right. And he works that beautifully.
Yep. That's that space. He creates a little bit of space, and then he can drive a wedge in those. And we've talked for weeks now about what those wedges can look like. Sometimes they seem like a blessing, and sometimes they seem like a curse, and sometimes we don't know what they are. They're just distance. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I'm
that's
excited to hear your message. Oh, sorry,
yeah,
Jim.
no, that for sure. And I was just going to say, so there's the letters 28, 29, and 30. You said they're kind of a continuation of the rest of the messages. We've talked a few times throughout this series that these
Mhm.
letters kind of build on the previous ones,
Yeah.
especially like the last two will build on this one, and then the last two will build on the next one, and so on and so forth. But
Yeah.
when we get to letter 31, for those that have read the book, there are no spoilers to be had at the end of your message, Dan. But
Right.
how are you gonna handle this revelation at the end of Screw Tape Letters? Are you gonna act it out? Are you gonna have production? How's this gonna come? Is there music? How are you gonna make this happen?
Well, I'm not sure.
Okay.
It's
I
only
appreciate the
Tuesday. You've
honesty.
got plenty of time.
That's right. That's right.
Plenty of time to put this together. If you need to call some people,
Well, I can tell you, I'm going to lead into the message with a story
Oh, good.
that has nothing to do with me. It's just a random story that kind of points out how we fail to trust God sometimes. And it literally is just something to think about, just to get your mind going. Think about promises that God makes and how either through Satan's tempting or just our own internal self-doubts or whatever, lack of courage or lack of trust, that can turn against us. And I just want it to really be something that people think about. And to close it, actually, because we all know how it ends for the patient, and I'm going to kind of describe some of that, but I'm going to close with a little documentary, or
Hmm.
it's actually a radio story that guys our age will remember. Paul Harvey.
oh yeah.
Oh,
You
Paul
guys
Harvey,
do.
right on.
He had a little thing that he did in 1965. It was on the radio, and I have I guess it's the transcript from that. I have a YouTube link that if we can play it, fine. But if we can't, I'm just going to read it. And it's called "If I Were the Devil."
Hmm.
Oh,
And he wrote it in 1965. Paul Harvey was a Christian. You can tell that by the way he talks, but
Mhm.
it is incredibly prophetic, and it's scary because it totally falls into exactly what we're going through today as a society.
So you are literally wrapping up this entire series as far as the 31 letters. You're wrapping it up with the rest of the story.
yeah.
Very much so, yeah.
So
Fantastic. I
I
can't
have a
imagine a
follow-up
better.
question. Dan, will you be reading it in the voice of Paul Harvey? And I can't be
I'll
the
do
only
my
one
best.
wondering that. Huh? You'll do your best?
I'll do my best.
All right, there you go.
Well,
Paul
that's a
Harvey.
lot to look
Good
forward. Go
day.
ahead.
Good day.
Yeah.
There you go.
Good night. And then you'll have to have ads in between for, aspirin and
Man,
Was there a mattress? Wasn't there a mattress he always
there.
was advertising for? Like I can't remember what it was, but
We can do some research. We can get you
I
some
don't
ads.
remember.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boy, they probably had Pall Mall commercials and everything else.
There you go. I don't think Yellow Jacket was quite around yet.
no,
But
it's probably just a seed, a thought. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Well, that's a lot of fantastic teasers, Dan. I know in Fargo and Bismarck. Will you be joining us in Bismarck, or are you going to be big
I
head
sure
band?
will.
You good? All right, excellent. And are you guys coming up together?
Yeah, we'll ride
Because
together.
Carl, I think you're
I
in the
should ask
band, right?
Dan, are we riding together?
Sure. I'll get up early just to
That's
ride with you.
part of the services that we hear on the services we have here on the church chat is we make sure people can get where they're going. So you're
Yep.
welcome.
Yep. We
All
mule
right.
coffee and people. That's what we do.
Well, careful. We don't do that.
Oh yeah, we do. Right. You're right. Transport. Transport.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it.
Yep.
One
Way
other
better.
one other really important thing coming up to ensure that folks are at the services this weekend in Fargo on Saturday and Bismarck on Sunday as it's board elections, and
Yep.
we want to make sure that we have representation so that those that are asked to be on the board are truly serving those that are part of our family. So please be there. And
Yeah, Karl has kind of put a little wrench in the works this year because previously you didn't have to be present to win. Now it says you got to be there.
no proxies this time around, huh?
Yeah, no mail-in voting, right?
All right, all right.
And we can work around that too. If I know who is it? There's somebody who is currently on the board. Maybe it's Kale. But I mean, I all the existing board members, if they're interested but just can't be there, I suppose. We kind of did that last year in Bismarck.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to
Well,
accept the nomination.
I propose the opposite, that if they don't show up, then they have to remain on the board for another year. You must be present to pass and must be present to win.
Yeah. That actually makes it seem like it's not a prize to be on the board. I think it's,
Yeah. No, I think and again, just making sure that everybody's there. We're back into our regular fall routines, and
right on.
Excited to see everybody, regardless of what else is happening. I just love the opportunity to get to see everybody. Any final thoughts that you have for us as we wind down today, Karl?
Yes, and actually, this is kind of a challenge thought. We do those from time to time. We have a series coming up that is going to be essentially we're going to be answering frequently asked questions about Christianity. I mean, if people want to ask baking questions, I'm not going to answer those, but frequently asked questions about Christianity.
Yeah.
And so what I'd like to do, I'd like to kind of get I don't know what you call that, a poll or
Sure.
a opinion from our family. So if you're hearing this, we'll talk about it in both our groups, both places this week. Probably talk about it this weekend.
Sure.
I would like to know questions that people either have that they don't feel has been answered yet, that they've been asked that they don't have a good answer for,
that's a
or
good
just
one,
things that are ringing around they'd like to know more about. So, and again, like we were talking before we record, most people know we do that. I can't guarantee that we'll answer all the questions, but I'm looking for the ones that are frequently asked. I have probably 10 or so in mind that I think are pretty common, but I also would love to make it specific, more specific to our family and things that we're all struggling with. So yeah, we can comment. I believe you can comment on our videos, right? I think I have before.
Yes, yeah, I've seen that people have before. We make sure to do that both on YouTube, and as far as Facebook, I don't know how to control that, but I've seen people that can do that. So I think that's really cool. I like the idea of us as a family coming up with the questions, because you're right, it's about discipleship. Like, what questions can I have answered so that when I'm talking to others, so it might be a very rudimentary question in terms of things that we talk about all the time, but how do I speak to that with others? I really like that angle. That sounds like I'm excited for this next series. We'll get through this one first. Dan, you can still do your message. It's okay.
Yeah, okay.
We'll
and we're just saying there will be questions this weekend. We are going to have questions.
There will be questions. There always are. Well, I think that's all we've got today. Do you guys have anything else? I think we covered it. All good?
The only thing I would say is I'm glad that as a body we have questions, and we have someone like Karl and that we can ask. And even if he doesn't know the answer, he's going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find
what it's all about.
Amen. Well, we'll see you all Saturday, Sunday, or sometime in between. Take care, everyone.
Looking forward to it.